Yeah, he was saying for tonight, maybe let's leave them just out front here. Those boards. And then we'll think about it during the meeting. Oh, those. Yeah, those could go over on the wall. Maybe even just kind of right above the podium there, or above that table. Because they're pretty far now. Oh, do you? Here, let me know. You got it already? Sorry about that.
Wherever it's going,
There was things to do. Kachinas, Indian rice.
wow.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
I got it right here. So I had to run down, help the rest, help them. Kids are, yeah. And if I would have been there, I would have been, you know. But anyway, I got caught up in the oxide. Sounds like it really went.
My neighbor got a virus. So that goes to town.
Oh. This makes a low right with the light now to town, and I wish I was closing this one.
Is that how we found out?
No, but I wonder, I would think that would be such a bad thing. Because you even know when a caretaker comes in and out of your house. See?
It's a new guy.
Goes to your phone at the door about it.
Not Rod, you know, who was doing early morning on the weekends. And Bob, and I have no idea if Randy, I mean, I guess it's been a couple years. Way to do what he did. I mean, that's a fire defense. He held up the whole passenger train for at least a half an hour.
What did he do?
He's doing early morning patrol, so he's coming up and coming back. Well, he did it with a machine, with a motor car. That's fine. They have rocks to do that. They didn't. So he came back down, killed the machine.
I ordered
down by
you
the
a
high bridge.
name.
The high bridge,
Nameplate.
Elm Creek Bridge.
Should be one of these name things. I ordered you one. It should be arriving.
Oh boy.
Doesn't know the machine.
Did it already go higher level of?
On the main track for the passenger.
No, but it's nice to have one if somebody comes and visits.
Hello. You people. No, he radioed. No, but this is kind of a remote area. You don't just walk there. You know where the P&G mine?
Yeah.
Quite a little.
You look at the P&G mine with that river there.
It is, yeah.
It's about this deep in water to get to the tracks. You have to walk and get to them. And fly a good train down. They don't hate it.
So you saved him?
Yeah, but when we fly the train, yeah. Just got to throw.
Hello, everyone.
I just looked this on my phone. I don't even know why I did this, but that's something to try that. I didn't have time to do that thing.
Outstanding board meetings.
That was where?
All together. Thank you very much.
In London, that's right.
Or in England.
And who?
Her name's Diane.
Oh, yeah.
And 19 people.
Yeah, Arianda wasn't she the one that, she the one that, who licked the donuts in the shop? Is that her?
Oh, it might have been.
Was it Arianda?
It's in a joke.
At the chamber Mom left early because she was playing roundup all night long with her.
Like really a itty bit, right? Yeah.
No, her mom. I call her mom.
Yeah.
I've been trying to train myself to call her that. So that
I thought he was. When did you leave the meeting downstairs?
I was the first one done.
Oh.
how are you guys seeing?
I'm good.
Thumbs up.
I was telling Pete that I did not solve the problem with, I don't know what was going on with the microphones last week.
Oh, gotcha,
And
okay.
I don't really know how to troubleshoot that. Remember they were all, I mean, I checked the connections, but remember they were all crackly?
Yeah, that's right, I remember that. We may need to have
Okay.
our IT guy, Mr. Gallegos.
I just
trusty-
feel bad
trusty
if they're
Gallegos.
still messed up.
Yours?
Good evening, Mr. Clinky.
It's pretty good propaganda.
Pete's cup of tea.
One of the sites this morning, somebody has talked about the blue sign right across from where we live. It's just a painted out blue sign that used to say something, but it was like, oh no, it's your sign.
To take it down.
No, it's been there forever. I just like, I go, I've looked at that before, but I never really thought of it.
Really sick.
Yeah, I told Mike that, we're gonna do barrels. I first told him, I go, it's gonna be the blue 55 gallon from the treatment plant. And he just went, I said, nope. That brought us to the next solution.
I think that's a nice solution.
So did they use the barrels for garbage cans too?
And the bears.
And the bears roll, okay.
They're terrible.
So they need to be mounted or bear-proofed or something. They need like a
It's
bear-proof
almost
top. Yeah.
And everybody's yards. I thought last year, the whole idea was that we'll just, they'll get like
So they come in backyards and
and go in. I had them in my yard a few times last year. And then over where we live, there was a, I know it was going to be anyways.
yeah.
But I thought if we ordered like, I bet people would buy it.
Yeah.
If we like,
Billy Mack keeps telling me they're just like little teddy bears. And I go, right.
I
Teddy bears, but
I don't have a desire to mess with them.
This is terrific. Did you guys get a chance to look at this
We
yet?
did.
Isn't that terrific?
Nice work.
Coming up. I was just ran it. Late Sunday. All there. Dave Burton's. What? Right. Yeah.
For the security.
Huh?
For the security.
It's like living in a mirror.
There's here 40, and that's where we're at so far. This is
Ran out of time. What's your timeline?
that's right.
No, if I can get it done tonight.
I hate to do that to you, but Willie wants it by 9.
Yeah. I just ran out of time.
No, are you sure you can do it tonight? I could have it by, would you rather get up in the morning
Which
early?
one? No. Which one do you want to send it to?
Either one, either one. Yeah, it's gotta be close, isn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully.
I mean, from what you have to do, right?
Yeah. Well, and hopefully nothing's still in there that's wrong, so.
What's that?
Did you shoot me another version? Did you check once or not?
I gave you my name.
Okay.
Did Sharon talk to you about?
Sharon did an email to me, so.
Test. That's perfect.
No crackling.
Fingers crossed.
There he is.
Is that clean-shaven young man?
Okay, it's 7:01, so we'll start this meeting with a roll call, please, Sarah.
Trustee McDougal?
I'm here.
Trustee Meisel?
Here.
Trustee Wiegert?
Here.
Trustee Gallegos?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Renowden?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Decay?
Here.
Mayor Tukey?
Here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off by an approval to adopt the town protocols that we worked on this weekend. And I guess what we'll do is we'll do a motion and a second to approve, to adopt them. And then Mr. Robbins will give a background to everybody that's here. Okay?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the town protocols. We need the dates. Developed May 20th and 21st.
Sure. Okay, so we have a motion from trustee Renowden. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and a second from trustee Decay. Any discussions? I think we probably discussed it all weekend, so. All right, so a roll call, please, Sarah.
Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee Wiegert?
Yes.
Trustee Gallegos?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Trustee Renowden?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Decay?
Yes.
Mayor Tukey?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and trustees. I'll make this short, but because one of the protocols that you just approved is a new protocol for your town board meetings, I'll go into a little more depth on that one because you'll run your meeting tonight under that new protocol. What you have before you is each of you has your own booklet. These are the 8 protocols that were developed by the town board in your retreat from the work you did on Saturday and Sunday. The protocols are not really in any particular order. The first one, and there is a poster for this one, is sort of the town mantra that you developed over the course of the 2 days, which is the word civility. The second protocol was you developed amongst yourselves the town trustee operating agreement. And this is the document that you had input into and developed and came to agreement on. And this is how you're going to interact within yourselves as a board. And I think it also is a document that defines how you plan on acting with your trustee hat on within your community. The third document in the pamphlet is the accountability protocol. This is the document that you developed to sort of establish some parameters and some action items. If one of you feels another of you is not acting in accordance with the operating agreement, these are methods that you're going to use to work to make sure that all the trustees are back on track. This document is also some tools that you developed if the protocol meeting, if the board's not running the meeting like it should, these are the similar tools for you to sort of get yourselves back on track. The facilitator, David Marvin, felt like we're all human and these things are going to happen, and that's why this accountability protocol was important for you to develop. I'm going to skip the next one. That's the protocol of the board for public meetings. I'm going to do that last. The next four are basically role definitions that you created. There is a role definition for the trustee. There is a protocol for the role of the mayor. There is a memorandum for the role of the administrator. And there is a memorandum that you developed for the role of the staff. And so those are the documents that you developed to help clarify the various roles of town government as you move forward. So getting back to the fourth document, which is the town meeting protocol, I want to run through this with a little more finite detail for members of the public and for you, make sure that this is correct. But again, these are sort of protocol provisions that you, the town board, developed at your retreat. And the first is, as the mayor runs the meeting. And secondly, to speak, trustee and staff would raise their hand and only speak when recognized by the mayor, and only one speaker at a time. Thirdly, we've redefined the public participation component of the meetings so that the public participation is going to be at the beginning of the meeting, and the public can provide you their participation on any item that is on the agenda or on any item that is not on the agenda. But you're not going to take public participation later on when you consider those specific agenda items. You may refer back to the public comment you received earlier to help deliberate and focus your discussion on the agenda items, but all public comment would come in at Roman numeral 2, public comment. Okay? And that's different than what you've done in the past, and it was your collective decision that you think that's a better way of approaching meetings as you move forward. I don't know if it's third or fourth. You also agreed that you would address each other as trustee so-and-so or Madam Mayor, that we would have a higher level of formality with regard to the actual running of the meeting, so that you are following the Robert's Rules of Orders and calling each other by your trustee or Madam Mayor. Next, you agreed that at the beginning of each meeting, if there is the collective wisdom of the board that there's a contentious matter on the agenda, that you would elevate that to the beginning of the agenda, or to a sooner to be heard than having it at the end. So that is another one. You directed staff to post the agenda on a whiteboard in the meeting room. Staff didn't get that direction until late today, so that didn't happen today. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it did. Your staff's all over it. It's over there. With regard to agenda items, they're going to be introduced normally by your administrator. There would then be discussion on the agenda item amongst the board, then a motion and second on the agenda item, and then after the motion and second, there is an opportunity for final discussion on the specific motion. So you have general discussion on an agenda item, a motion and second, and then specific discussion on the form of and the actual motion. And that more cleanly follows Robert's Rules of Order. And then finally, you asked that we put on this protocol that the trustees and mayors would adhere to and enforce this new protocol for meetings through compliance with the trustee operating agreement and the accountability protocol. So that's the agreed upon approach that you've agreed to. These documents that you just approved are public documents. If members of the community desire to look at them, they certainly can. I tried to put them in this format so that you guys could have it handily, and staff will work to have them available for members of the public so that they can see the outcome of the work that you did. Finally, I just want to thank the board. You all really rolled up your sleeves. I felt like you had the best interest of the community at heart, and I think you came up with some really, really good protocols for your go forward.
Okay, thank you, John. Then we'll go to number 2, which is public comment. So do we have anyone that would like to do any public comment at this time? Okay, thank you for all of you for coming. So then we're down to number 3, which is proclamations and presentations.
Okay, letter A, under proclamations and presentations, is a proclamation for recognizing Ken Charles Adola for his years of service to Silverton and San Juan County. Ken is retiring next month. This is to honor him. And I've got a dressing copy here for you all to sign. So, would anyone like to entertain a motion to accept this proclamation?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proclamation addressing the retirement of Ken Charles and his years of service.
Okay, so we have a motion by Trustee Renowden. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, and a second from Trustee Mizel. Any further discussion from the board? Okay. So we can do this with hands, so all in favor? Okay, thank you.
Okay, in B, we have Caitlin Randolph, who is our San Juan Economic Recovery Coordinator. She's going to present on some of the work that she's been doing thus far in her grant.
Hello, everyone. So I just have 3 brief things that I want to sort of talk to the community about. The first one is the existence of enterprise zone tax credits. So that's something that all local business owners are going to be eligible for. There's a number of different benefits that could apply to you specifically just based on the type of business that you are involved in. One that every business is eligible for is up to $3,100 per full-time equivalent employee. And that's taken off the top of your state taxes. And I have more information on this and would be more than happy to email out a packet or hand deliver one and explain those options to business owners. I do have visitor hours at my office in the visitor center every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Skipping this week as I will be in Uray for my annual reclamation conference. The second thing I wanted to bring up was we as the San Juan Development Association distributed a survey to business owners via their P.O. boxes that were registered with the town for their business license. And that was sort of just gauging the economic forecast and what resources and tools business owners were.
Caitlin, I can't hear you that well.
Oh, sure.
Just bring that a little closer would be great.
You know, it might not be on.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Sorry.
Can you hear me better? Okay, sure. So that survey, I would like to encourage business owner participation. If any local business owners did not receive that survey, I do have hard copies available both here in Town Hall and at the Visitor Center. And I'm more than happy to hand deliver those or send them via email as well. The email address is sanjuancoordinator@scan, that's SCAN.org. And finally, I would like to talk about a Blueprint 2.0 technical assistance grant, specifically on outdoor recreation expansion for Silverton. And I am championing this grant. It's due at the end of the month, and one key piece that I still need to complete this application is sort of the formation or willingness to participate from key community members in the areas of outdoor recreation, namely OHB, single track, and winter backcountry. So if anyone is interested in being a part of that steering committee, I encourage them to please contact me. Email works fine, office hours every Wednesday, or cell phone at 970-799-5012. Those were just my quick updates. Thank you.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
The tax credit for businesses that have at least one full-time employee, does that include seasonal employees, or does it have to be a year-round employee?
So it's sort of a weighted average, so that would depend. You can't claim them twice. So if you have 5 seasonal employees, you could only claim those 5 for the full year, regardless of whether or not your business functions year-round.
Thank you very much. That answers my question.
Anyone else?
Okay, so then we'll move down to number 4, the approval of the consent agenda items.
On our consent agenda, we have payroll, accounts payable, the April fund summary, our sales tax, which is up a little, right? Silverton and the Rockies liquor license renewal, Handlebars liquor license renewal, the special event application for the Death Ride Tour, which I do want to mention, that we worked closely between our sheriff and Barry Strapinski, the director of that event. And the sheriff came up with a list of questions, which I believe are in your packet, and Mr. Strapinski came back and answered all of those questions, and we all came to the consensus that he has covered all of his bases. And the common consumption area application is for the finish line portion of the Death Ride Tour. So this would be similar to what the Whiteout did, minus 12th Street. It's just sort of the Green Street, 1200 block of Green Street, really just in front of the Grand Imperial and the Golden Block. Does anyone have any questions on those?
No. I do have a question about Forethought, the payment made to, just an explanation.
That was from the libraries when their system was put in over the summer. And then there a couple of months, honestly, it wasn't getting to me. I've already talked with Jackie and Forethought, and it just, the invoice hadn't come to her or me. So, but that's all the installation as well.
Thank you. Any other questions from the trustees? Okay, a roll call, please, Sarah.
Someone needs to motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion from trustee Meeker. We have a second.
I'll second it.
And a second from trustee Rinaldi. Any other discussion? Okay, so now, Sarah, we'd like a roll call, please.
Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee Wiggert?
Yes.
Trustee Gallegos?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Renauden?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Yes.
Mayor Tukey?
Yes. Okay, so then we're down to item 5, which is the administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Beginning with, we will be meeting with Doug and Patricia from Mullis Lake this week. They would like to propose a year-round model for Mullis. I'm not sure what their bracket is. Be interesting. Model, operating model at Mullis. Spoke with DHM. They are going to finalize their overall design product with funding options, and we'll be submitting that to us soon. There's a couple of things, the utility rates. So it was brought to my attention that our highest water user in town, which is the gas station, the rate structure we have is really not going to work for him. He's going to end up with thousands of dollars in a water bill when we sign up during his high use months. So I've taken that back to RPI Consulting and our engineer, and they're analyzing it, and I'm going to bring that back to you for consideration in the future here. It's just so Mr. Denley knows we're working on that. Let's see. Update on the Memorial Park bridges. We are waiting for the plat design from Goff Engineering. That goes to our engineer. From there, we will have to go to demolition of the bridges that we have and then start building abutments. So these bridges will not likely be built this summer. It's going to take some time, but it is moving forward, just so everybody understands. And we did come up with a staging area on 7th Street. I believe it was published in the paper that at the end of 7th Street, at the end of the route, is a good spot to be able to at least park trucks and trailers for our staging area for this year. OHB signage, we have Public Works crew heading to Denver tomorrow to pick up barrels and new signs to be able to place all along the route. We were able to cover the whole route within the signs budget and moving to new blue signs this year.
Michelle, what is the end of 7th Street? I can't envision that.
The storage units?
Pardon?
The storage units?
Okay, so is that private property or is it?
No, it's on the right of way, on the street, so it's town property.
Okay.
And does anyone have any questions about anything else?
Are there going to be signs put up?
Yes.
Okay.
Going back to the bridges, I had a separate committee meeting with John. Maybe he could go into that a little more. So at moments time.
I'll just wait my turn and then I'll do a quick report.
Anything else? Any questions on anything else over? So we can move to department reports. Take it away, John.
I'd like to say congratulations on the adoption of your new protocols. It seems like it's going to be a good thing. And good luck with that. A couple of quick things. You have my written report. Just to expand a little bit about the bridges, we do expect to get the bridges installed this year. They may not be in this summer. It's kind of we're working with subcontractors and engineers, and there are a lot of different people that are involved in this project. So Michelle did state correctly, it may not happen this summer, but we would certainly hope to get it all completed before we go into winter at least, and have fresh bridges for next summer. But we'll keep the pressure on. And also, just to clarify a little bit about the OHV signage, the plan that we have in place that Michelle and I kind of nurtured to a decision that we have made is to purchase whiskey barrels. You've seen the whiskey barrels that we have on Blair Street for trash cans. And this was an idea that kind of started in the community with the pylons in the middle of the streets. So that the OHV operators could see something in the street that was a little bit different and trying to navigate through the myriad of signs that we have all around town. So we're gonna purchase whiskey barrels, we're gonna place them at every intersection. Green Street, we might have to get a little creative, but we're gonna purchase small blue signs and put them on the whiskey barrels. If you're near a whiskey barrel, then you're gonna be on route. And there will be a directional sign on each way that you come into a whiskey barrel on the OHE route. That is a solution that we're proposing, that we're following through with, and hopefully we'll have some good luck with that. And then in our committee meetings, which have been really successful, they've been great to have the committee meetings going here in the last month or so, but we talked about the library, and we didn't get a chance to get a grant in for this cycle on a grant rehabilitation project. So consulting with Mark Revis and town staff, we're going to move forward with cleaning up the basement of the library, and we're going to do a mold test down there, make sure it's safe, and then the librarian, Jackie Kerwin, can decide what she thinks is the best decision at that point. I believe we're in good shape structurally, correct? We just want to make sure that the mold is good, so we're going to contract someone in the Four Corners to check the mold. But if you didn't have any other questions about my written report, that's all I have tonight.
I have to ask just one question, because it's going to be asked me a million times. Is there any whiskey in the whiskey barrel by chance?
I wish.
Just making
If
sure.
it was, and the two guys that are going to pick them up would probably drink it all by the time they
It'll
get
be out
back.
by the time it gets back here.
Thank you, Mr. Sykes.
Yep, thank you.
Do you really? Okay.
Just to complete on the library, again, it kind of fell to the wayside and other things, went ahead of the game, but I'll continue to work on that, and we'll be moving the bookcases away from the wall, which is the moisture source, and locking those in toward the center. So I was about 2/3 of the way through on that design. And really not a town issue, but right adjacent to town, I think it's a really positive thing that Anvil Mountain subdivision is moving forward with great speed. So I just finished the design of the apartment building enough so that we can get it to the modular manufacturers. And then the big shift was to sell the market rate lots. And those 12 market rate lots are going for $30,000, which is a marvelous thing. And then that money generated will go into the affordable and attainable, so we can get those to the level that we need so that the people qualify for it. And there's covenants, so there'll be some level of design requirements associated with that as well. So it's a very positive thing that Anvil's moving forward. Anything else, just odds and ends. So trying to pick up the pieces. Madam Mayor, Trustee Myers, one question.
Will you, when those covenants come out, will they be available for us to look at?
Yes. And of course, the covenants are county issue. The county attorney has been working with them along with Willie Tukey. And they're pretty basic. They're primarily kind of intended design aspects. So market rate lots have a look of a bungalow, affordable, attainable, or more contemporary. And then they kind of let me loose on apartment buildings, which we called industrial modern. So, and then it's kind of interesting how we'll go through. Finally, the homeowners will be in charge of design review as the thing develops, but they're never going to let me off the hook. So that's it on Anvil.
Thank you.
Any other?
And just to ask where we are maybe on weekly rental, or we are going to have a work session?
Yes.
Is that correct?
I got about halfway through on some of the wording on that. So vacation rentals, I got through some of that wording. And I think we've got a pretty good idea on how to tighten it up. So between enforcement and also wording, I think we've got a pretty good handle on controlling, primarily the issue, I believe, is still in residential. So R1, R2. as our big issues.
And also, is there, I thought we could, I'd like all of us as trustees to consider us possibly looking at the ADU ordinance to possibly allow I know we have approved that an ADU only can be accomplished with a primary residence, but could we zone ADUs possibly into other areas of the community where you do have a home as a rental, and they would add an ADU to that piece of property in order to answer our housing issues. It's just something for us all to consider, and I don't know what maybe your thoughts are, or it's just a thought.
Madam Mayor, Stephen, okay, that would be a bigger, land use issue, but we can certainly talk it through. It does tend to work in a R2 as well, whether they're detached or not. I just have to give it a little more thought. And then we've also kind of touched base on single lot development as well. So those are some bigger, like I get tiny house questions all the time. So we'll just put that into a bigger planning thought process in a work session.
My question was for Tiffany, or excuse me, Trustee today. Were you referring to houses that were rented as vacation rentals or monthly rentals?
Monthly rentals.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Any other further questions for Mr. Williams? Okay, then, anyone else from the department reports? Sarah?
Yeah, I just, if no one has questions about the report, that's fine, but I was hoping I could get your input on those sort of priority sheet that I had in there, if you guys wouldn't mind trying to get, I thought it'd be interesting to hear what you guys find to be the top priorities when we move forward in this, beautification process. We talked about that at the last meeting, and it's just a way for me to see where your thoughts are collectively, and then the staff can take those and try to put something together. And that's it.
How would the trustees like to proceed with that? Do you want to really take it home and look at it and then get it back to staff? Trustee McNeil?
I think, for me, one of the easier ways to do this would be to just kind of scan over this, which I have already somewhat, and then email a response to Ms. Mordecai. Is that okay with you?
However you all would like to get it back to me is just fine.
Thank you.
Ms. Mordecai, I do have one question on here. I saw that under administrative and organizational, we have no recycling on there, and that's marked as completed.
Well, that was an original, I don't think we could ever do enough recycling, but we've been pretty successful apparently from the program that we have in place out at the transfer station. We had that big grant, and you should, if you think it could be prioritized at a really high level, definitely put that in there and make some notes or any input that you want to put there.
Yeah, I'd really like to see more plans
Oh.
Green Street, especially and on Blair if we can. That's
Yeah.
something that I would highly prioritize, and I think it's attainable.
Sounds good. If you don't mind marking that, noting that in there.
Trustee McDougall, trustee C.
I would only comment that after scanning over this, there's a lot of things on here that are really interesting to me. I've been on the board for 5 years now, and there's some of these things that I think date back farther than that. Some of these ideas that hadn't come up, but a lot of really good ones that I think came from previous boards, and so it really benefits us to look at this and see what people were thinking at that point too. Larger sidewalks on Green Street. There's a couple of other, a roundabout at 12th and Green. There's some interesting things on here that we all need to look at. So, very good job putting this together. Thank you.
I was going to ask about the moving the train stop at half a block east.
Well, I was just going to clarify now, maybe I wasn't clear in my report either, but that list actually was compiled in 2012, And then I've added new things that we've been talking about in the past year. So it's really a compilation of old board and staff work and sort of where we're at now, and I just thought we might as well look at all of them. The train station one, I don't know where that came from, but it was on the original list, so
Yeah, I just wondered what the purpose was behind that.
I don't know.
The tourists further out of town when they disembark.
Christie, do you think?
I would like to see us, well, as we discussed during our retreat, is possibly attaining a strategic plan, something that we can see ourselves accomplishing in, say, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then I guess it can probably go further than that. But that would go from this board on to other boards into the future, and I feel that if we could possibly get all the department heads together and maybe also go over this list and have a work session and to get other input from other departments and to see where their priorities are along with ours, to even maybe create, say, or add to this list, or take away, or before maybe we comment on this list. And I do feel that because of the staff turnover in the past, we have revisited these many of these items over and over again without accomplishing through the years. And I do feel it's because of what has occurred in the past as far as staff turnover. And we have a fabulous staff now, and I just thought this could be worked on in a greater action.
I think that is our overall goal here. We've identified that we have all these plans on the shelf. So we've consolidated them into this list that we would like to have prioritized. And then I think it's great that the staff would like to be able to, or that the board would like to be able to be part of that longer strategic plan. And then what we really need to do is, just like we've done with the capital improvements plan, the infrastructure plan, set it out on a timeline and a cost schedule so that we can start saving and we can implement these things. And then as it moves forward and a new board comes along and new staff comes along, that piece is already in place. It'll make it a lot easier for others to be able to follow through with that.
Thank you.
Anything else? And Ms. Mordecai, I'm going to ask you a question. I know you put it in your, but did you want to give a little bit of more information to the board and the public that's here about the conference you went to?
I could, yeah. When we had the last presentation from DHM about wayfinding, and I was just preparing to go to the DCI conference and decided to pull all of this background information on what we've already done with DCI. And the conference, what I really took away is Silverton has made strides to do different things. They've, overcome a lot of obstacles and this turnover that you're speaking of. But you've still managed to implement projects. And I think that's why I put this out, really, is you could see some of those boxes are checked, and there's a way to develop a long-term plan. Other communities don't have what Silverton has in terms of strong economic drivers, something that you can plan on. Tourism is what it is, but other communities don't even have visitors who come. So I just felt really good about what we have going on. Coming back from there after speaking to other small communities, there's always things to overcome, but not a whole lot of, I think we still have to be creative with funding. There wasn't any really concrete way that one thing that they say this is how you're going to get your funding avenues to implement projects, but there's grants out there to make things happen, so we're just going to have to keep pursuing that. It was a great experience. I'm glad I got to go, and the scholarship was available, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. trustee McDougal?
Madam Mayor, trustee Weider and I attended a planning commission meeting over the last week. There wasn't a whole lot that pertained to the town of Silverton, but just some items of interest would be, there was a project that is going to be going into sketch plan for a glamping facility out at the very, very beginning of the South Mineral Road on the other side of the creek. Glamping being the combination of the terms glamour and camping, which we thought was kind of an interesting thing. It's basically a campground, a tent camping campground where you don't actually have to set up your tent and you don't have to use the bathroom in the woods. You get there and there's already a tent set up with a queen-size bed in it and a restroom and shower facility there. So it's more of like a glamorous style camping for people who don't want to go through the aches and pains of camping. That was one of the things that we saw on there. Another one is just a capping proposal up on the top of Red Mountain Pass on the old Brooklyn Mine Road, County Road 14. That section of County Road 14 is being developed more than other sections. But based on the amount of development up there now, I think there's like 5 or 6 cabins and maybe room for 5 or 6 more. So I don't see that getting extremely developed, but another one nonetheless, and a really good site for that cabin. Mark, am I missing anything about that meeting? I think it was pretty much all in the county, but I just wanted to give these guys an update on it. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other trustee reports? We didn't have an ambulance meeting this month because it was going back and forth. He's planning on coming when we do a joint meeting with the county to talk to everybody about what's going on with the ambulance and the associations. So as soon as he stops moving around, then we can get with the county and find out when a good time frame will be. So we're down to 8, continued business.
Okay, and under continued business, we have the 4th of July camping discussion. So do you want me to?
Yeah, you can take a crack at it and then I'll help.
Okay. So we have a little snag in managing our sort of town-run campgrounds on the lands at Kendall and the depot, in that there's a handful of private property parcels mixed in there. And when we brought the proposal to hire this campground management contractor, I was unaware, Jeff was unaware, that we were not receiving responses to the letters that we were sending out to these private landowners asking for permission to use their land. So we have a problem here. We can't really use their land. It's trespassing if we are allowing somebody to charge for camping and people to go down and camp on this private land. So we're trying to troubleshoot this as best as we can and use the town land. We have gotten permission from the train to be able to use their land, but particularly down at the depot, it's an issue where we've got about 5 mining claims that sort of cross down into the area that people are camping.
Jeff Robbins, town attorney. So I had a discussion with Michelle and John earlier today about this dilemma. Obviously I cannot condone us charging and allowing camping on private property. Not only is that a trespass, but if you charge money for even your own property or others' property, you lose the protections of the Colorado Recreation statute, which otherwise gives you really broad protection, liability protection. So, so the big issue that we had seen was this fact that there are some areas I mean, it's a jigsaw puzzle down there. And so, in talking with John, it looks like we got a very good map from the assessor to try to further identify where are the 2 or 3 problematic areas. And we think that at a staff level, we can modify the contract that's yet to be signed so that we ensure that the areas that are private are blocked off so that we don't have camping on private property. The upside to that is we're not trespassing or encouraging others to trespass. The downside is that will reduce the overall area for camping. And the way that you had originally set up this proposal was you were going to front end the money to the operator. They were going to collect on a per head basis, and we would get that per head basis money back, right? And so it was a little bit of a wag, but we believe that that might come out about the same. Obviously, if we're reducing the acreage for camping, we're reducing the number of campers, which reduces the number of fees we obtain at the end of the day. But we still have to pay the operator the full cost for because his cost doesn't really change all that much in terms of what he needs to do. So the decision point for the board is, are you comfortable with that approach? Knowing that that might mean that at the end of the day you're not breaking even, maybe you are having to, you're not making the same amount that you're going back, or the chances of that may be the case. But on the other hand, you are getting a professional running the campground. You're getting the camping, safer and fully organized. Knowing also that a part of the staff's approach to 4th of July with the 4th of July committee is also to not allow the free fettered camping over here on Shrine Hill, which means more people are going to come to this area. So those, I think, are the decision points for you, is to sort of let us know if you're okay with an adjustment to the contract that lowers the acreage a bit, even though that might ultimately mean less money or revenue to the town at the end of the day. John, do you want to add to that?
The only thing I'd want to add to that is I have a question actually for the interim administrator. Have we spoken to the train yet about whether or not they're willing to allow us to use their property for camping this year?
No.
We have not. Okay. That's the only thing that I would add. I think that Jeff and the interim administrator covered it pretty well. And I'm kind of coming in on top of all this, as I alluded to you all the other day in our committee meetings. But thank you guys I think that's pretty clear. But I would check on the train.
May I, two things on that. I have spoken with Mr. Harper, young Mr. Harper, and I don't believe that they have any other intended uses over there over the 4th of July. But the other thing is we will try to obtain permission from all landowners if we do go this route. And so it would be a contingency plan to rope these off if we don't hear back from them. But yes, we will try to obtain that permission.
Michelle, do we have a line item that is specific to the 4th of July campgrounds within our budget?
We do. We have a full personnel, and we have campground materials. So collectively, that comes to about $15,500. So
there's a little bit of room there with regards to what we pay our contractor and what we collect back in fees. We certainly don't want to pay any more than we have to. My opinion about that is we're right at the very end. We're at crunch time here. We put out an RFP. We got one response. Even with the smaller camping areas, as Mr. Robbins has told us, we pretty much got to do this. The difference is no camping, and people are scattered out in the county, throughout the town. We've tried that before. We've seen what that looks like. That's why we established these campgrounds. I think we should proceed as Mr. Robbins has recommended, with hopes that Michelle or Administrator Hamilton will be able to obtain permission from more of these landowners between now and then.
Excuse me, when were the letters, did you say you sent letters out already?
We have not sent them out.
Oh, I thought you said you had. I was gonna say that would be an implied consent if they never responded back, but, so you aren't, I mean, is this enough time to, Joe?
Yeah, what we're bringing to you is, in the past, Michelle and John have indicated that the letters have not come back from the landowners. And so the concern is that if past practice plays out again, we're going to be in a similar situation. And we wanted to have a pivot in place with the contractor so that we would know what we should do if we don't get the letters back. But obviously, you can, we'll still aggressively do that and see if we can obtain consent or, temporary licenses for this use.
So the consensus on trustee?
I'm wondering if you think that Administrator Hamilton, if it would be feasible to raise the cost of her camping site to help defray some of what we may stand to lose.
So the contract proposal that we received doubles that cost from what it has been in years past. They've raised it from $10 a head to $20 a head.
But even that projection, it still has us breaking even this year, more or less.
It's really difficult to make that projection. In the past years that I've been here, 2 years ago, we made a profit. Last year, we did not make a profit. It has to do with the days of the week that it falls on, what the weather's like. It's really difficult to project what that might look like. And there's a great chance we could make a profit.
Trustee Davis.
I'm going to kind of punch the elephant in the room here if I can. I think one trouble that I have under all contracts, and I would ask that going forward, is that we get these out sooner. It's May, I mean, we're looking at almost a month away, the 4th of July, and we don't have any plan. And so we're sitting here today looking whether we're going to possibly lose money because we don't have our contracts out early enough. Now, I have a question for the attorney. Barbara says something about implied consent. If we send out letters and they do not respond, do we have implied consent with historical use, or does that still leave us?
I do not believe that sending a letter out and not getting a response is the same as getting a response with a signature on a lease. I love the idea, and I wish I could make that happen. But even if you send it out certified and you get a response that they've got it, you still don't have a written document in hand that is that owner's, John Hancock, that we're okay with you using our property. And I mean, so my short answer would be no.
No. Okay. Is there more that we could do, like possibly call? I mean, are these corporations or these individuals? Do we know that we could call them and maybe be a little bit more versus just to certify the letter?
They are mostly individuals, and we don't have any phone numbers for these people. All we have is addresses through the assessor.
Trustee Musson.
I was going to throw this out there. One of the largest landowners down there is Joanne Boda, and I do have her phone number, and she's approachable. And we don't want her to close her gate because it's a lot of property out there. So
that'd be very helpful.
Anything else? Ms. Hamilton, do you need a consensus from the board to keep going forward, or are you looking for us There's some,
I'm looking for guidance, whether or not we should continue to pursue this. We can seek permission from the landowners, but if that is not the case, shall we cordon off these private areas and try to keep camping away from there and go ahead forward with this contract?
Madam Mayor, I'm prepared to make a motion to direct the administrator to hear it.
Okay.
I would make a motion to direct interim administrator Hamilton to continue the plan for camping at the town campgrounds with our current approved contractor and to block off private property that we do not have permission to use, even though we know that that's going to reduce the size of the campgrounds.
Can we make a commitment to where we do everything possible to get that land versus block it off?
And to proceed with trying to get permission from the landowners before that happens.
Can I add one more? And then we also get, like John said, confirmed permission from the train?
Yes.
And that permission will be including the narrow gauge railroad.
Okay, so we have a motion from trustee McDougal and a second from trustee Gallegos. Any further discussion from the rest of the trustees?
I guess this would be a, kind of a test for next year. Can we, like Larry said, we get the RFPs out earlier and letters and so forth?
We did start working on this. We started working on this as soon as the 4th of July Association was, correct me, was formed, and we tried to get the school to take the contract again. They took, the 4th of July Association took a long, hard look at that and came back not wanting to touch it. So this has been a long work in progress, and to finally put it out to trying to find anybody who will take this contract.
I understand there were problems this year. Michelle, our interim administrator, but yeah, so this is a test year. Next year we'll just start.
And also the hope is with this professional company that they'll be able to offer us some better services. We'll have better services provided down there, and they, in their contract proposal, they had proposed to expand on those services in the years coming. So it's also a test for them to see those things.
Any further? Trustee Graham?
I can tell you, I didn't say nothing last Monday during the meeting because I was on the phone. I apologize, but Out of the Ash Productions, I've actually done business with them before. The gentleman, year or 2 years ago, brought a data points, but in Silverton, we had to ride, I think about like 120, 150 people for apartments, but so they are a good group.
Well, I think, Ms. Mordecai, why don't we do a roll call, and then you'll also get the consensus from the board this time.
Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee Weaver?
Yes.
Trustee Renowden?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Trustee Gallegos?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Decay?
Yes.
Madame Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, and finally, under new business, we have Caitlin Randolph and Jill Seifert, Region 9, who are going to present to us on the Rural Jumpstart Tax Incentive Program.
So that's me, I'm Jill. Is this on? I'm Jill Seifert. And I'm a relatively new employee of Region 9. I started back in November. So I'm mostly doing economic development planning. So Laura and I tend to do a little tag team work. Sometimes you'll see her, sometimes you'll see me. Sometimes you'll get both of us. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Rural Jumpstart Program. It is a program that's come out of the state legislature, and its purpose is to provide an incentive to new businesses that would locate in Colorado that they might consider our rural areas rather than just going directly into the urban areas. And the program is set up so that certain counties that are rural and that meet the criteria for income levels qualify for the program. If the business that comes in and wants to take advantage of the program has to do some pretty, jump over some pretty high bars, they have to, first of all, they have to be non-competitive with any other business in Colorado. So they have to bring something new to the state and compete. One example of that, some of you may have heard about it, is a company that is making construction materials out of hemp. And so although they're making fairly traditional construction materials, they're out of hemp, and so that's a new industry. So that would be an example of a business that could locate in the state that might qualify. The other requirements is that the business has to create one new job in its first year of existence, and then for the next 3 years, each year it has to create 5 more new jobs. And those jobs have to pay at least at the average income level of the county that they're located in. So it's focused administratively at the county level. The county has to agree to become a jumpstart county, and then municipalities that are located in the county, if they're interested in, they can opt in. They're not required to opt in just because the county did, but they can choose to opt in. Now, what's in the company that comes in? Well, the company gets some tax reliefs, and I always have to read this off the form, make sure I figure it all exactly. But so new business gets relief from all state income taxes, from state sales and use taxes, and state income tax on their employees. This would be for as long as they claim the Rural Jumpstart Zone tax status. But the program would only go, right now it's supposed to go 3 years, it may get extended to 5 years. So it's to be a 5-year, pretty big tax relief program for a company that locates in the county. But again, as I said, individual municipalities can decide whether they want to opt in or not. The issue, of course, that relates to most municipalities would be if there are municipal personal property taxes in businesses. And if I understand correctly, Silverton doesn't assess that. Right? And so when Michelle was looking at what kind of resolution could be adopted to support the Jumpstart Community Program and for Silverton to become one, we realized that there really aren't any tax implications for Silverton. So it's more that it's a resolution of support and also designating the community as a rural Jumpstart community, which puts you on the list for companies that might be interested in taking advantage of that program and relocating to Silverton. So that's what I'm here for tonight, is to ask you to consider that resolution that would be supported by the Jumpstart program and indicate that Silverton is a Jumpstart community.
I think that anything that would make us even slightly more appealing to a company that is, sounds like we need to employ more than 15 people after 3 years. I believe at this point, excluding government, I can only think of one business in Silverton that employs over 15 people. There may be a couple more, but so it's not a real common thing, but it certainly would allow us to be more. It makes us feel more open to that, to businesses being here, and gives them that the ability to look at us as one of these members of this program.
Any further questions? Okay, so you do have in your packet Resolution 2017-04, a resolution by the Board of Trustees of the Town of Silverton, State of Colorado, authorizing participation in the Rural Jumpstart Program.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, let's get back to it, ask one more question. Do you feel, obviously you've looked over this bill. Do you think there's any chance for that first, I'll call it a covenant or whatever, that might change, or what's the only one that really narrows it down is?
Well, the program started in 2015.
Okay.
And they had a few pilot counties, and then once they did a test run for a year, then they made it open to the other counties. And my understanding is they haven't changed anything to it.
Thank you.
As this stated, there's not really much the town itself can do, it's incentive-wise, but this is more just in support of the county, who has already passed a resolution to participate in this program and give tax incentives.
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we adopt resolution 2017-04.
I'll second.
We have a motion from trustee McDougal and a second from trustee Williams. Any further discussion from the rest of the trustees? Roll call, please. Sarah?
Trustee Renata? Trustee Renata?
Yes.
Trustee Gallegos?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Wiegert?
Yes.
Trustee Meisel?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeKay?
Yes.
Madam Mayor?
Yes. Okay. So, that, Mr. Robbins?
Madam Mayor, at the retreat, we talked about doing the plus delta check-in at the end of your meetings for the first few meetings. If it's the pleasure of the board, now would be the time to do that before we adjourn.
Yes.
And essentially, if you recall from Mr. Marvin, that was a what worked, what didn't work, what would you change? So if it's the pleasure of the board, you can have that discussion amongst yourselves now.
It's 8:07, so I think we can do that. So I guess I can start. For me, the hardest is, I'm sorry, Sarah, I'm so used to saying to Sarah, roll call, please. So I have to get to the Ms. Mordecai part of it. I think we all have that little bit of whatever you want to call it. So we're going to have to get this straight.
And there's going to be a lot to get used to, obviously. We're all on a first name basis, so that's going to definitely be one of the major challenges. Another major challenge for you will be to constantly be looking around for people's hands that are up.
Yes.
But I think tonight you did really well, guys. I think obviously there wasn't a whole lot of people in the audience to see it, how well we've done it. Hopefully in the future we'll continue to carry on and people will notice.
And you did an excellent job. Yes. And I know it was difficult for you. I didn't see it, yes.
Thank you for acknowledging it. It is difficult for me, but I don't want to be the person who's always fidgety during the silence, so I'm going to really show them what.
Anything else?
I think you're right about that, yes, we'll have to practice following each other.
Although each time we slipped up this evening, we immediately caught ourselves. So that's a sign of good things to come. Even though it's a little silly, I think that level of professionalism is going to be reflective of the seriousness and politeness and civility that we're trying to reflect from this point on. And obviously the past is our past, and we can't ask anyone to forget our past, but as we talked about at the retreat, we can't ask people to forgive our past and look at us in a new light, and hopefully moving forward, we will impress our citizens that depend on us.
excited about it. I think it's gonna work. It's gonna take a little fine tuning. And, but I think we'll, get a lot more done and be more efficient.
It seemed like it turned into a more efficient meeting.
I was talking about it in New York, and he said, he's like, he went to, they recently went to a different meeting, he said the thing they focus on was respect, honor, and integrity. Even though those are nouns, to turn those into verbs. Verb is obviously an action, so turning respect into action, honor to action, integrity to action, it just made me think of this weekend.
So, Mr. Robbins, would you give us a grade on this?
Collectively, please.
No, I think you did a wonderful job. It is going to be, everyone needs to recognize it's going to be a work in progress. Let's throw a few contentious meetings at you and see how things work out. But no, I applaud the board for the work, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we're adjourned at 8:11.
Thanks, Mr. Robbins. Okay. You should, I'll put like public on one.
Yeah, and just leave it there. And then if anybody wants specific pieces of the memos, they're public documents, just copy.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
You emailed me that list,
Oh, yeah.
the microscopic
You know,
list. Did you notice I had to
Thank
do that?
you.
I had to do that.
Oh, I know, well, it was a lot.
Blow it up. I'm gonna blow it up.
Some of them are really funny, and actually some of them I just took off because I couldn't. I'm like, seriously, someone put that on a
You might
list?
give each staff member one
Sure,
of
would you
those
like
now that they've been officially moved.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell Michelle we should do a resolution so that it gets into the minutes as opposed to just a motion.
Okay.
Just approving these documents.
Yeah, let's,
like the
would
next
you like
meeting.
that on the next? Okay, let me make a note of it.
And we'll just tell them that way it gets in the official record.
Sure.
And I don't know where to put those signs.
You know, I might, I guess, I
I'll
don't know
let you
why, it's
figure it
probably
out.
because I look right there, but like, I think right on that wall, or even the wall above, like, because there's plenty of space.
I'd like to hang them like right behind us.
Or should we just have them like, on
Floating.
strings
Yeah,
or something?
I don't know.
You know, another thing though is we can get, you know, like your little tripods?
Yeah.
Like, those are relatively inexpensive. Just get a couple of tripods and then,
If you could put that behind them on tripods or like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
maybe
that
a
would be
couple
great.
of inexpensive tripods
I think that would
we
be great.
can.
That way people, if it's on the wall, they're not going to see it as they walk in.
Right.
I kind of wanted to see it.
And not just that, but like if you think other events that are, I mean, they don't have to be mounted if they're just up all the time when it's not another event or something. So, okay, I'll get tripods.
Okay, thanks.
How about, I think we had a liquor license renewal on the consent agenda, it's supposed to be a public hearing.
I don't know about your question, but normally I would think you're right. And then one section, so if it's agendized as a public hearing, we obviously will take public comment at that public hearing. And I didn't read everything that's on the list.
Can I ask you which liquor license? Just out of curiosity, hold on.
Well, I thought liquor, I'm not sure if liquor license renewal